SA Sports Show, guys. What about this list of players? Craig Williams, Roger Ludis, Leon Grosser, Jeff Morris, Robbie McKinnon, Mark Dreyer. He was a big bugger, that guy. Tony Burgess, Larry Watson, Ian Borchard, Gruntley Filkey, John Kendall-Laptis.
1983.
Spot on.
1983. Westies.
And that's our very, very special guest is John Kendall-Laptis. Welcome.
G'day, guys.
What about that team?
It was a pretty good team. It was a pretty good team in that era, but we probably didn't know it was going to be that good that year because the year before it was the same sort of team, but didn't really eventuate too much. So, but it was a fantastic team that year.
I was having a look at the interchange. The interchange will do me. Gruntley Filkey, Peter Muret. Are you kidding me? What are they doing on the bench?
I only noticed that yesterday. I said they started on the bench in that game. One's a McGarry medalist, and Muret was a sensational player, champion.
Fantastic player. You have great memories of that.
And of course, they coached Phil Curley.
We shouldn't tell you. You guys get together because that was a great year for Westies, and they're a good team.
We don't get together often enough, but we've just over the last month with what's happened with Neil, of course, we thought, look, we should get together at least once or twice a year.
Of course you should. Yeah.
We did get together about 3 months ago with Neil. At Nick Karasoulis' place, who's Harvey Norman. And it was a sensational day, and we said we've got to do it more often. And we're planning another one with Neil, but didn't eventuate, of course. But
so who runs it? You got someone at the club that would run that sort of thing?
The club would only do the reunions, if you like, every 5 or 10 years. But it's left to us. I mean, someone like myself, Bernie Conlon, Grant Filkey, will organise it. Yeah.
John, everyone's got a great curly story, or lots of curly stories. You're sitting here with a nice red blazer, mate. Can you tell us how curls got involved into that one?
Well, 1983 we had a blazer, and somehow Neil wanted a red blazer, so we ended up having this blazer given to us. So
only Neil Curley, surely.
And that's 1983.
1983.
Okay.
Yeah.
So walking to Albion Oval, I would say that I would have laughed at you blokes walking into the.
I reckon everyone would have laughed at us.
But can I say, when you run out, and I was only 16, nearly 17, it was just scary when I watched you guys run out.
Yeah.
And I reckon every player was twice the size of me. I go, this is going to be a big day. This is going to be a pretty tough day, and it was. So
I actually quite like it. Well, I don't mind it. I don't mind a red blazer.
We wore it, and
everybody
it did the job.
Black, mate. I mean, you want a black?
Well, I would have liked black, but it's more formidable, you know.
Everybody wears black. No, that's smart.
Well, John's happy to take an offer if you
you wear it to a function, and then you can wear it crabbing on Sunday. I'm only kidding.
What a bullfight.
You played the back pocket, mate, which now no longer really exists, does it? The back pocket. In today's footy, you don't hear that anymore. And you were a sensational player there, mate. I don't say that because you're sitting here. Everybody says the same story. And I've spent time with Curls in his boat, and he always speaks fondly of you in that back pocket role. And you know, he doesn't speak fondly about someone unless he rates them. So he clearly rated you, mate. Today's footy, how do you see it from when you played?
I've thought about it a lot. I find it difficult to watch in a lot of ways, but it's when we were playing in the 80s and early 90s, it was more about a contest. You know, having a contest, two players competing for the ball, or a number of players competing for the ball. Today, it's more about keeping possession and not creating a contest. It's avoiding a contest at most of the time. So it's different. It's different. I still enjoy the way watching the older games, the 90s and 80s. I think it's a bit more, a bit more competitive, a bit more man on man. It's just great memories too of it. So
do you get to the SNFL much?
I do get to the SNFL. I get to see Westies. I also go to the Eagles a little bit. And I get to a few AFL games, both Port and Crows.
Which one do you enjoy more, SNFL?
I do enjoy the SNFL.
Yeah, I've found that this year for I don't know whatever reason. The SNFL's been terrific this year. Hey mate, CEO at the Eagles and then CEO at Westies. Well done on being a CEO at two clubs and surviving both of those. Was it? I mean, Westies was the club you grew up with. Did you, long term? As a kid, you don't imagine you're ever going to become a CEO. But what drew you back to Westies from the Eagles?
It was actually it was by chance more than anything else. There was. I came on the board at West Adelaide after I'd been at the Eagles to try and get their gaming out to a main road venue. And in that period of time, the CEO departed and they wanted someone temporarily until they got the new CEO. I was on the board. So they said, look, you've done it before, just step in for a couple of months. Well, 4 years later, I'm still there. So, I think they conned me a little bit. Just say, well, get him in and just leave him there. Yeah. So that's what happened. So,
you would have enjoyed that, mate.
I loved it. You know, it was fantastic. We had another premiership, 2015. I enjoyed the Eagles. I mean, we had the 2006 premiership with them. So, you know, it's just some successful time. So you enjoy it.
You've had a good time, mate. You're a BNF winner. You remember that you've been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Along with 3 other guys, I think in 2021.
Yep.
Who were the others that were inducted in with you?
Ryan Ferguson.
Oh yeah, Ferguson.
And I should know the other one, but it's pre-1930. Oh, sorry, I can't remember it, but Ryan Ferguson was the other one.
And would you say all your goals, all your 12 goals, were from a back pocket? Well, you must need a very, very cocky back pocket to come along and kick 12 goals.
I reckon one of them might have been from a back pocket. I reckon the other 11 was when I was on the ball in my earlier days in the career when I was trying to make me a midfielder.
I heard it could have been 15 goals, but you missed a couple.
No,
I
think you'll find there's no point. Didn't miss any.
Hey, mate, you always get asked, everyone asks, toughest couple of players you stood through your journey?
Well, Tony McGuinness was my toughest because he kicked a lot of goals. John Platten was a tough player, but not for me because I'm sitting in the back pocket.
Yeah.
John spent most of his time on the ball.
Yeah.
So Tony McGuinness was the one that stands out. He just kicked goals all the time, and trying to keep him under wraps was pretty hard.
Yeah. Bucky Cunningham, he'd be
Brian, but Brian, I think only stood Brian twice, and then he retired. I think later on.
Yeah.
So it was only 2 or 3 times I stood Bucky, but. You know, he was a pretty good player. He was a fantastic player.
You played in that era, though, mate, where there were some phenomenal footballers. And no matter which sport you play in, be it Aussie rules, soccer, basketball, there's times when you stand there and actually just marvel at some of the players that are out there playing. Do you ever catch yourself in a moment where you go, wow, that was pretty special? Yeah,
look, there was. I mean, it's just some great opponents, and it's just some of the teams I played in was unbelievable, really. You know, Stephen Kernahan and Chris McDermott and all those sort of players. You know, there's a number of them at Port Adelaide.
Well, the Sturt side you played against in the grand final. You had Peter Motley. You had Flash Graham, of course. You had Rick Davies, Jimmy Darrington, Frankie Spiel. Wow, that was Neil Craig, of course. So, I mean, they're just household names, you know, back in that era.
I think we lived through the best part of the SANFL. We're lucky to have done that. Because post 1991, 96, it sort of changed completely.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's been some great games. There's been some games played on on your multi-channels at the moment. You see some old games. I watched the Port and Ord game the other day. It was a wild game. How'd they get away with that?
Yeah, no behind-the-scenes cameras, mate. Surf lifesaving now?
Yes.
Tony, that's your job at the moment, passion?
It's
what drew you there?
Well, I'm part-time. It's I am the project officer, so my job is to project manage all the surf clubs being rebuilt. So we're about to start West Beach Surf Lifesaving Club. We've been doing that for nearly 7 years now. I love it. It's beautiful, beautiful environment. Great cause, and I've just been rebuilding most of the surf clubs around the state for the last 7 years.
Just one thing, I did mention all those players in the introduction. Who was the best player that you played with? Ian Borchard, was it, perhaps Peter Winter? I left Peter Winter and I can't believe it. It's a great side.
Yeah, Roger Winter, who missed out on most of that year, but he was leading, I think he got about 15 votes in his first 7 games, the McGarry Medal. So,
it's hard to get those too.
He's a sensational player.
Sorry.
You haven't got one, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, you have? Oh, okay.
So who was the best player you played?
Well, I reckon the one that made the difference, we've spoken about this a lot, particularly Peter Murrett and I.
Yeah.
But at that time, Bruce Lindner was probably the guy that made
5
the
goals
difference.
in the grand final.
Yeah. Look, and there was a couple of games where I think at Sturt at Unley, we were losing at 3/4 time, and he kicked 5 goals in the last quarter, and we won the game. So I think Bruce was the one that could make a difference.
Yeah.
Amongst the a sensational group of players. You know, Peter Murrett, Jeff Morris, Grant Filkey.
That's a good team. That's a good team. That deserved to go top, that team.
Yeah, Ori's one of the best teams of the probably 70s and 80s.
Yeah, it's a great
when you start look at that list, wow.
Pretty impressive, mate. John, we know you're a busy man, mate. Really appreciate your time. Well done on your career too, mate. It's been outstanding. With one club to do all the things you've done from a junior right through to the senior, mate. Life member. Can't get much better than that. Hall of Fame. John, our special guest. Stay with us still. A bit more to come.